Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that you are all having a great start to your weekend. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator. Hi Chayani. Everybody, this class is an IELTS writing task 2. We are writing about working abroad. This class is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. Lots of learning to be had. To become a member of our channel, click the join button next to the subscribe button. Task 2, it's 250 plus word essay that you write in the IELTS exam, and it's kind of similar between both the academic and general versions of the test. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. Task 1 writing and the reading section especially are different for general IELTS than the academic IELTS, so make sure you're studying for the correct version of the test that you require. This is our academic IELTS website here with this blue background. You can click this big red button that's just above my head there, and to get access to all of our videos, practice exams, interactive courses. These websites are the textbooks that we use for these live classes. We are an IDP affiliate, British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center. And when you click this Join Now button, you can use this discount code TARGET9 for a 20% discount off the premium package. So go ahead and use that when you get the chance, and you'll save an additional 20% from the full price. Hi Masala, welcome to the class. We're just getting going here. This is our general IELTS website here. Again, it's just this big red button. It's a one-time payment, doesn't cost a lot. This is gieltshelp.com, so definitely get it. We've helped thousands and thousands of students. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS exam preparation. So you're in great hands with us. And of course, we have apps for your phone. These apps will link to the websites as well to work together. Academic IELTS Help will link to aehelp.com. General IELTS Help will link to gieltshelp.com. And Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp and gielts help to get our schedules, vocabulary help. And if you have any questions, send me an email. My email is adrian@aehelp.com. We also give free writing band score estimates. So if you don't know your writing level for the IELTS exam, you can send us an email and send us your task 2, task 1 writing, and we will happily let you know your band score level. We're pretty good at estimating those band score levels. All right, students, so right now, task 2, then we have listening part 1 and 2 a little bit later on. That will be a subscribers chat class, and then tomorrow we'll have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. And on Sunday, we'll have a light hall class. So the light hall class is a free class. You have to just go to Light Hall to register. It's a platform for live teaching in real time with video, so it's really awesome. Check that out. That is Light Hall. Free class, free registration, lots of fun. Make sure you go there. Sarah, I know that you said you had some difficulty with Light Hall. If you can send me an email, and I can forward that to Light Hall's development team, and then they can look at it. Basically, the information I need, Sarah, is what is the difficulty that you're having, what type of device you are using, and what type of operating system you are using, and then I'm sure they can help figure that out for you. Students, we have videos all the time being released on our channel, so subscribe, get notifications. This one is one of our latest videos here. And again, click the link in the video description to register for our premium IELTS course. Check that out. Okay, sounds good, Sarah. All right, everybody. So here is the IELTS Task 2 question of the day. Step number 1 for good writing, of course, is just to read the question carefully. You should spend 40 minutes on this task, and that you should, because it's 2/3 of your writing mark. So 40 minutes, make sure you practice that at home. In the IELTS official test, you do have a clock. You can check the time, how much time you have, but definitely have a good idea of what you can do in 40 minutes. Okay, so here we go, everybody. Let's read this question, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to get lots of help from you today, members, so lots of writing. Welcome, Baljit. Baljit, I will have your editing work for you ready ASAP. I do know that you're waiting for that, and it has not left my attention. So, all right. Here we go. Let's read the question. So many parents these days work in other countries, taking their families with them. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh its disadvantages? Write at least 250 words. Okay, let's paraphrase this first of all. So paraphrasing questions and information means that you will understand it better. Okay, so step 1, read and paraphrase. So go ahead and do this, members. Paraphrase this question. By paraphrasing task 2 questions, you ensure that you understand them clearly and that you think more about them. Okay. This is not your introduction. Paraphrasing. I know that some template essays say that, for the introduction, just paraphrase the question and then say this essay will talk about this. That's a low-level introduction. Okay, that is a low-level introduction to do it that way. But the paraphrasing could be useful, definitely, in other parts of the essay, and the vocabulary certainly will be useful for you in your writing. So it's a very good idea to just quickly paraphrase the question and then go from there. So instead of saying many parents these days, I'm just going to write a lot of parents nowadays. And I'm being careful with the word parents. So guardians or caretakers, they kind of paraphrase parents, but parents are parents. So parents are the people, the mom and the dad, right? That would be another way to paraphrase a lot of mothers and fathers. It's better. Okay, so parents are mothers and fathers. Guardians, caretakers, not the best paraphrase for the word parents. Seek employment abroad. So work in other countries. Well, what is work? Work is employment. Employment's a nice high-level vocabulary for work. And in other countries, abroad, and seek is to go and find, right? So a lot of parents nowadays seek employment abroad, taking their family with them. Taking their families with them. And again, we could paraphrase families by maybe writing children and grandparents. Usually it's children and sometimes grandparents that people take with them. One interesting step that's already happening for me, and hopefully it's happening for you as well, as I'm paraphrasing, I'm already starting to visualize. So as I paraphrase the question, I start to visualize the information. So I see my parents going to the US for work and taking my brothers and I with them. Or, you know, if you're older like me, you might see yourself going somewhere abroad. Okay? And maybe grandparents as well. So maybe you see yourself doing that, okay? And so a lot of parents nowadays seek employment abroad, taking their families with them. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh its disadvantages? Are there more benefits to this than negatives? And it's not just are there more, do you believe, right? Because the question's asking, do you think? Do you believe there are more benefits to this than negatives? All right, so good. We have the paraphrase now, and we have more insight, better understanding of this question. At home, you should always read the original and then read your paraphrasing to make sure that it's sensible and that you haven't missed any important points in the paraphrase, or that you haven't added some ideas that are not there, right? So many parents these days work in other countries, taking their families with them. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh its disadvantages? Okay. My paraphrase. A lot of parents nowadays seek employment abroad, taking their families with them. Do you believe there are more benefits to this than negatives? Fine. And then it says write at least 250 words. So minimum 250. Most Band 8, Band 9 essays are more than just 250 words. So keep that in mind. They're closer to 300, sometimes even 350 words. Okay. Let's see what some of our members are coming up with. Sorry. Still kind of in the middle of this cold right now, but getting better. So you might hear my voice do some strange things at times. Okay. So this response is by Sarah here. Sarah writes, a lot of fathers and mothers nowadays get jobs abroad. Yeah, Sarah, do not make this mistake. A lot, 2 words. A lot of English buffs and teachers have a weird pet peeve about students writing a lot as 1 word. So a lot, 2 words. It's a very common mistake, even among native English speakers, especially young learners. But it's 2 words, okay? 2 words. It's not a lot. It's a lot. Okay, it's just one of those spelling mistakes that's kind of like, if you make it, your examiner might be like, okay, I'm taking a half band score. I can't believe this student just wrote that as 1 word. That's so elementary school mistake. So yes, believe me, there's just a few words out there, a few kind of typical mistakes that teachers are really like, ugh. So a lot, 2 words, okay? A lot of fathers and mothers nowadays, and notice how nowadays, interestingly, it's 1 word, right? Looks like it should be 3, but it's 1 word. But that was good. You got that, Sarah. So a lot of fathers and mothers nowadays get jobs abroad, moving out with their families. Good. Commas always like that. In your opinion, do the benefits of this? Well, I can see your opinion, Sarah. Improvement. Of this outweigh its disadvantages. Yeah. Okay. And your punctuation always follows the last letter with no spaces. Otherwise, it's good. It's good. Okay. Yeah, not in, I know, Sarah, I get it. They should have more sympathy, but not in that case because it is kind of a typical mistake that a lot of kids make in their elementary school, and then they're really like, by their teachers, like, a lot is 2 words, a lot is 2 words. So just remember, that's why I'm here, Sarah, to tell you this. It's 2 words. Okay. All right. Let's just do a bulk control copy here. Let's see if I can do it like this. Boom. There it is. We've got Baljeet, James, and Masala with their paraphrasing. Let's take a look at what Baljeet has here. Plenty of people who are parents. Too wordy, Baljeet. Plenty of parents. Do jobs abroad. Baljeet, make sure to be concise. I think this is one of the reasons why you feel like you're running out of time in task 1, maybe even in task 2. So concise. And it's also sometimes in your speaking. So just, you're at the stage now in your English where you can practice your concise communication, whether it's written or oral. So plenty of parents work abroad, taking along other family members. Okay, period. Do you think its benefits outweigh the deficits? Nice, that's concise. Okay, so concise, right? Okay, Baljeet, concise writing gets good band scores and gets good grades in university as well. So you always want to be concise. So once you reach that kind of band 7-ish level in your writing, one good way to improve to a band 8 is to edit your writing and think about how can I make it more concise without losing information or without lowering the quality, right? So keep this in mind, everybody, that concise writing is good writing. Okay? The word concise means to state it in a short way. And you can do that with grammar, with vocabulary, with taking out repetitive words and ideas, right? So communicating in short form without losing quality and content. Okay, concise writing, as you just saw me do with Baljeet's example there, concise writing can be achieved through better use of vocabulary and grammar, as well as taking out any redundant information or, well, unnecessary words as part of grammar. Okay, so concise writing. I mean, you can Google that. I'm sure there's a lot of information online to how to make your writing concise. It's kind of what editors do. So when editors look at a piece of writing, when they're editing a book or a newspaper or a magazine article, one of the key parts of their job is to figure out more concise ways to write the information, especially when you're looking at a newspaper or a magazine where they have to organize the information so it fits the dimensions of the newspaper or magazine. All right, so let's take a look at James Nguyen there. All right, James, good to have you in the class. Kennel, nice to have you jump in, and Gunkai Ren as well. Okay, multiple parents. Multiple is a bit off in this context. So a lot could be for many, or thousands of parents, hundreds of thousands. If we want to use some quantification, thousands of parents nowadays are employed in other countries Passive, right, are employed, because we don't know who the employer is. We don't know the company. So thousands of parents nowadays are employed in other countries, comma. Whenever you're joining a sentence and a sentence, James, there's always a comma before the coordinating conjunction and. So when you're using the coordinating conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, yet, so, then you have to have a comma when it's sentence and sentence. So thousands of parents nowadays are employed in other countries. They also go with their families. You use and, those are two complete sentences. You need a comma before it, okay? Do you believe the benefits of this action outweigh its drawbacks? Good, okay. Masala, abundance, numbers. Yeah, again, yeah, some words we just don't use in certain contexts. It would be an abundant number of fathers and mothers, but it's awkward, it's wordy, it's unnatural. So don't unnecessarily overcomplicate your writing. It's a good try, Masala, a good place to try, but that's why I'm here to tell you that it does not work in this context. However, you could write a great number of fathers and mothers. Make sure that if you have one plural, the next is plural. A great number of fathers and mothers are doing jobs, because there's many of them, in other countries, not at other countries. At is meeting the location, in is in the location. A human is in the country, okay? You're inside of it. Are doing jobs in other territories. Territories is not clear. It doesn't mean countries. You could do nations, but not territories, okay? And too wordy here, apart from their own nation. So a great number of fathers and mothers are doing jobs in other nations nowadays. Again, let's take away the wordiness nowadays. And settle there, not there, T-H-E-I-R, but T-H-R-E. Okay, so T-H-E-R-E. Settle there, and settle there with relatives. Yeah, that's a little bit different information, Masala. It means like they're going there and they move there and they meet with their relatives, right? And settle there with their children. Okay, makes a little bit more sense. Do you believe the benefits of that development outweigh the negatives? Okay, good. So we've got a few different ways to paraphrase. We're moving along. We identify the topic now of the question. So what are we talking about? Okay. So topic, what are we talking about? Controlling idea. Basically, the controlling idea is what are we talking about in relation to the topic. I'm going to write the topic. Hopefully you end up with the same. I won't say it. Just pay attention to your answer and then see if it will match mine. So all right, so that's my topic and that's my controlling idea. Topic is parents moving abroad for work. Okay, and the controlling idea is more benefits or less benefits or more negatives for parents moving abroad for work. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. This is what specifically we're exploring or discovering about that topic. You should always practice identifying the topic. You should always practice identifying the controlling idea. If you are unable to do this well, then it is nearly impossible to write a good essay or just sheer luck. Okay. Yeah, Baljit, very good. Parents working abroad. So then you think critically, and I'm going to move through this a little bit faster today, members, but I want you to follow with me. And this is what you need to do at home regularly when you are practicing for the writing section of the IELTS. But not only that, here what I'm showing you is also practice for your university and your college essay writing. So in a lot of universities and schools in many English-speaking countries, such as the US, Canada, Australia, your courses include quite a bit of essay writing, especially for certain degrees. When I did my degree in psychology, I probably, in my 5 years of university education, I probably wrote more than somewhere between 500 and 1,000 essays, I would imagine. I wrote a lot of essays, a lot of pages. I had boxes of essays when I was finished, when I was graduated. I still have them on my computer, I'm sure, in certain places. So you do a lot of writing, so it's really a good idea to learn to write properly while you're studying for the IELTS, because then you have to continue that writing into college and university as well. Even in science majors, even in, like, if you're doing computer science, you have to write a lot. Yeah, Kendall, it is a lot. And for me, I mean, I did psychology, and it was probably 2 to 3 essays each week on average throughout the 5 years. So if you do the math, okay. All right. Actually, one of our reading passages, Baljeet, is one of those essays about the Portuguese man of war. So you've seen one of them, if you've seen that class. Okay, so anyway, topic, what, why, how. So ask, okay, in this step, this is step 3. Ask what, why, how. About the topic and controlling idea. Now, in the official test, you don't necessarily have enough time, unless you're very fast at typing, to write all this down, but you should still go through it in your head. Okay, let me show you this, and you can also answer these questions as I'm doing this, members. So if you fall behind, it's okay. Just deal with any of the questions, and I'll take a look at what you're writing, okay? The most important, members, is always just think and write. Think and write. If you don't catch every single word I say or every single step that I'm taking, it's okay. It's more important that you are writing with me, okay? All right. So what is parents moving abroad to work? Okay, it means either the father or mother or both move to another country to get a job, right? So that one's pretty simple. We don't have to spend too much time there. Okay, why do parents decide to move to other countries for work? Okay, more opportunities for employment, better working conditions, and of course, let's not forget, and more money. Okay. How do parents do this? So watch, I'm just going through this quite quickly so that you can kind of see how my mind works and then also adopt it. I am absolutely visualizing, by the way, students, while I'm doing this. So how do parents gain employment abroad? They gain the necessary education, visa requirements, they search, and they fill employment needs in foreign countries. such as nurses getting jobs in hospitals in the US, such as nurses from Korea, South Korea, let's be specific, South Korea, and Philippines. I never spell that right. Philippines and Indonesia. Those are the most common ones that I can think of. So when you're thinking about the how question, just a really important tip, everyone, also think about visualizing an example. Okay, so it's an important tip here. Okay, when you are thinking about your how, visualize a specific example, just like I did. Okay, and I think a lot of people know about this. So a lot of people know that there's a great number of job opportunities in the medical sector in many countries, and especially from Korea, South Korea, Philippines, Indonesia. A lot of nurses get jobs in the US and Canada and in Australia as well. Okay, Sarah says, what? Parents taking families to a new place. Okay, just ask the actual question, Sarah. So, what does it mean, parents working in other countries? Baljit says, what is working abroad as parents? Parents go to another country to pursue a job. Sure, yeah, it's the quick, easy one. Misala says to get a better future for them, an educational and career path for their children. Okay, Masala, it's not bad, but remember to focus your ideas. Get a better future. What does that mean, right? So, Masala, this is a good kind of place to give some advice to a lot of candidates. So, so this is for the why, right? That you wrote this to have a better future. Okay, this is okay, but it's not tangible, so this is intangible. Okay, intangible means that it's hard to conceptualize, it's hard to touch it. Okay, as a writer, as a communicator, you should always work hard and strive to change intangibles into tangibles. Okay, so as a good communicator, always strive to change intangible, or we can also say abstract, ideas into tangible, real world ideas. Okay, I want you to really focus on that, especially in a short essay, like a 300-word essay on the IELTS exam, because that's what it is. It's a short essay, okay? Your university essays will never be less than 500. The average length of a university essay is 1,500 words, okay? So you're always changing intangible into tangible. So better future, what does that mean? It means more money. It means better quality of life, more safety. So changing the word better future, changing the concept of better future into tangible real world ideas. Does that make sense, students? This is where I would definitely like to see some of those thumbs up, because this is one of the most common kinds of thinking that leads to mistakes and leads to essays that are hard to understand, where students write a lot of intangible ideas that are kind of like in the clouds, and the reader or the examiner, the IELTS examiner in this case, has a really hard time trying to figure out what that better future actually is. There's often like a lot of repetition of just like, and they live a better life, and they're happier, and they have a better future, and nowhere does it say like they make 3 times more money than they do in their own country with the same job, right? So it's like the examiner has to guess those parts. You do not want your examiner or your reader to be guessing the information, okay? Masala, Baljit, Chayani, Sarah say yes. Okay. So again, you do not want your reader guessing information. All right. So be careful with that. All right. Romelia says, as in their country, parents can barely make ends meet. Many of them resort to moving around in order to ensure the financial and educational security for them and their children. Romelia, it's good. I love how you wrote financial and educational security. Yeah. That's more the tangibles, right? And you don't have to use idioms in writing, Romelia, like make ends meet. It's okay, but just be really careful with idioms in writing. They can be confusing and unnecessary. All right, so now I want to do the same, but I want to do the same with the controlling idea, right? So what are the advantages of parents moving to other countries with their families for work? Okay. The answer here, welcome Diana to our group of members. Make sure to write me an email so I can hook you up with your perks. I can see that you just joined in. Diana, nice to have you with us. Just make sure to contribute. Okay, so what are the advantages of parents moving to other countries with their families for work? They gain or they earn more money, which can be used to guarantee a better quality of life, better food, education, and entertainment. Okay. Sure. Why are these advantages possible? Because the country has a stronger economy, because the country has a stronger economy and pays more for the job, right? And then how? This is where you want your example, so you're continuing. How is this? Okay. A nurse in Indonesia makes $300 US per month, but makes $5,000 US per month in Canada. Okay, so that would be a good example of that. All right. And then what are the disadvantages? So what are the disadvantages of getting work abroad? Maybe culture shock. And loss of workforce for the country of origin, right? So how is this? The Indonesian nurse feels sadness or misses home culture. Okay, and Indonesia loses a trained nurse, right? So that would be a disadvantage. Okay, all right. Okay, so now I have clarity. Okay, now I know what's going on, and now I need to make up my mind. So the next step, step 4 here, is to make a decision whether the benefits are more than the negatives. Okay. And then from this, I can write a thesis. Okay, so I'm moving along here, members, and don't worry, I'm not losing you. I am paying attention to what you're doing. I'm just kind of moving along nice and smooth so we can really develop this, this essay fully. And I want to really see your content writing today. By content writing, I mean you're writing for the thesis, the introductory paragraph, the body paragraph, body 2, the conclusion. And if you have questions, just ask me, interrupt me. So, you know, I'm pushing you for those high scores in the IELTS, so band 7, 8, 9. And you might feel, you know, that I'm going a little bit faster or using a bit more complex language or vocabulary, and that's totally okay. And everybody who feels a little bit confused and lost, don't forget, you can watch this video again and again on the channel to get further clarity, okay? Notice how I keep pushing forward this tip. That's because I really want you to visualize, okay? I want you to see the nurse, the Indonesian nurse or nurses, maybe both mom and dad are nurses, and they have a couple of kids. And of course, humans are an asset to a country. So when you take an educated family out of a country, that's a huge loss for the country. So keep your mind open. It's not just a benefit or a negative for the individual, but it's a benefit negative for society as well, right? So when you're thinking about your answers, make sure to think outside the box, okay? So in both our speaking and writing sections of the IELTS, think outside the box. I think it was last week that I told you to do this, right? And this is a good reminder. By the way, this question was sent to us by one of our members. I forgot to say that this was actually a question on the IELTS exam. So this question that we're dealing with, and it's a good time maybe to refresh for those people who are joining in. We're doing task 2. Many parents these days work in other countries, taking their families with them. Do you think the advantages of this development outweigh its disadvantages? So this question was on an IELTS exam just recently, and it was sent to us by one of our members as a request, okay? So here I said, you know, that there's obviously some benefits and some negatives for the individual, and then there's obviously some benefits and negatives for societies as well. So what kind of thinking is this? I said this in a couple of classes last week, that when you're thinking about ideas, you have to think in this way, where you think about the small and the big. But I didn't call it small and big. I called it by other terms. Does anybody remember what I called it? Because notice how it doesn't ask you, in this question, it doesn't say what are the benefits and negatives for the family. It just says what are the benefits and the negatives, or they say do the benefits outweigh the negatives. Yeah, that's right, sir. I called it micro and macro, right? So micro is the family here, and macro is the society, right? So when you're thinking about your ideas in IELTS, speaking and writing, make sure to think outside the box. Think both about the micro, in this case the family, and macro, the country, in this case, right? Where they're moving from and where they're moving to, okay? That's correct, Romelia. In this case, it's the individual and the national level, right? So the micro and the macro. Thinking about micro and macro, micro meaning small, macro meaning big, you get more ideas. So again, we have to make a decision here, everybody. We have to decide, do they outweigh the negatives? Absolutely. Okay, in my opinion, IMO, right? In my humble opinion. Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely believe that parents seeking employment abroad has more benefits for both the individual and society. Okay, so I'm going to argue that there are more benefits than negatives for the individual, for the person, and for society. So that's my thesis statement. Okay, my body paragraph 1 is going to be the more benefits than negatives for the individual. So body 1. And society, body 2. Now, that will be my body paragraph 2. So that's my clear thesis statement. And notice how I did not overcomplicate this. So I definitely believe that parents seeking employment abroad have more benefits for both the individual and society. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I can prove those ideas effectively. Okay. So now I'm ready to write. Okay, and it seems like it took a long time for us to get to this point, and it's 46 minutes, so it sure did. But there's a saying in English, a little bit of planning goes a long way. Anybody heard that saying? A little bit of planning goes a long way. It's definitely true for the IELTS exam. There's even another one. Those who don't plan to fail. Ooh, it's a little bit of a harsher one, but that's another one there. Okay, so a little bit of planning goes a long way. Those who don't plan to fail. Okay, so you should always spend 5 minutes to plan your essays. Okay. And when you practice at home, you can plan them very quickly. So this planning that I showed you here, in the real exam, a lot of this would happen in your head, visualizing it, just kind of thinking about the key concepts, and then coming up with a thesis statement. The only parts that you would really want to write down are the thesis statement. The topic is a good idea to write down, and maybe the paraphrase. So the thesis statement, the topic, just making sure that you can clearly identify it, and then the paraphrasing that we worked on there. Okay, so that's all I would really write down in the actual exam. At home, I would write it all down. Okay, all of it. All right. Let's see what you have for your thesis statements. Thesis statements are really important, so very, very important. So I'm going to take a look at what you write for your thesis statements here. Okay. This is Baljeet. This is Sarah. Masala and Chayani. Let's check these out. Okay. Practice your thesis statements. If you don't understand what a thesis statement is, you have to learn it, everybody. Okay. Thesis statements are really important. So for writing, okay, and you can't just write this essay will discuss. It's not a good thesis statement at all. Okay, Baljeet says, I surely think that parents who work abroad not only help individuals but also society as whole. What do you mean, Baljeet, by help individuals? I get the help society, but help individuals. Maybe, yeah, okay, Baljeet, I can see it. I can see where you can go for a band 8, band 9 essay with that thesis. I can see it. I will be curious to figure out how you will do help individuals. I would say help themselves instead of individuals. Like that, but there's more than one way to skin the cat. So if you want to write individuals, you can, but I'd have to see the rest of your essay to figure out exactly what you're going to do with that. Because individuals means not just them, but other individuals, like their children or their grandparents, or maybe some family at home in their home country. Sarah writes, in my opinion, the benefits obtained from parents leaving with their families are way more than the negatives affected the families. Sarah, simplify. Thesis statements should always be as concise and as clear as possible, okay? This I can tell right away is just wordy. It's too complex. So in my opinion, comma, that's a leading expression, the benefits from parents, we don't need obtained, from parents, not just leaving, careful, sir, they're not just leaving, they're working. From parents, working abroad are not way more, that would be spoken communication, are more than the negatives, both for the family and society, and the society that they are living in. You don't need that part, Sarah, just and the society. It might actually benefit their home society in some ways as well. You can think about that while I check these other two. Masala says, I strongly opined. I strongly believe, I'm strongly in the opinion. I am strongly, watch your grammar and your spelling, Masala. I am strongly in the opinion that parents doing jobs in other nations has more brighter sides. Awkward, it's too colloquial. Has more advantages or merits, if you want to use another word. For, watch your prepositions, Masala, for the individual and community. Okay, you can go with that. So watch the correction. Chayani, for the individual seeking work, it's not individuals. Careful, here it's families, right? So for the parents seeking work abroad, have a benefit from the high salaries. So for the parents seeking work abroad, for parents seeking work abroad, there are more benefits like higher, because it's comparative, higher salaries, and make proud of their origin country. That doesn't make sense, okay? Again, remember, tangibles. This is getting very confusing for me, Chayani. So you have to really focus on ideas that you can clearly and easily explain. Making proud their own country, where are we going with that, right? Maybe some people in their own country would not be that proud of somebody leaving for more money, right? So it's a tough argument and it's difficult to explain. So careful with what you choose, even if you feel it's the truth, okay? So there are more benefits like higher salaries and safer surroundings than their original country because of their God carer. I think what you're saying here is good career. But good career, right? Okay. So Chayani, this is what you mean to say here. For parents seeking work abroad, there are more benefits like higher salaries and safer surroundings than in their original country because of their good career. I'm not sure if it's because of their good career, because of their choice, right? So be really careful with your spelling, word order, grammar, Chayani. Otherwise, that would be considered a very low level thesis like band 3, band 4. Okay. All right, students, let's keep moving along. Patek and Sanantha, I see that you have some answers there. Kenel as well. But I must move forward, otherwise we won't get this essay done. So let's go to the introduction. So Patek, Kenel, Sanantha, write the parts for the introduction, and I will take a look at what you have there. So introduction, you have a hook, you have background, and you have thesis. Okay, these are the standard parts of an English essay introduction. It's not my technique, it's not Adrian said it, it's standard English literature writing. If somebody tells you it's not true, then it's not true. So this is what you need to write. If a teacher tells you that you don't need a hook for IELTS Task 2, it's not true. We talked to lots of examiners in the IELTS and people who mark the Task 2. They said that they really like to see the hook, and definitely essays, Task 2s that get band 7, 8, 9, in many cases will have a hook. You do not need to write a title for the essay, but a hook is a good idea for many reasons. It's good for you as the author as well because you introduce the topic, right? So millions of parents seek employment abroad for a chance at a better life for their families. Okay, so this is my hook. My hook here introduces my topic, parents seeking employment abroad. Okay, that's my topic. And it's an interesting statement. It's a fact. It's true. And it's probably in the millions. If it's not, it's believable, right? We can believe that it's a million parents and families, right? Especially these days, there's huge migration or great migration of people. So millions of parents seek employment abroad for a chance at a better life for their families. Okay. Background, so definitions, right? What does that mean? Why is that important? Clearly, such a major decision has a great impact on both the individuals and society as a whole. All right, so here are the definitions. I think it's fairly clear, right? Parent moves to another country, gets a job. So I'm focusing more on the importance of why are we talking about this? So what's the reason for this essay? Why are we discussing it, right? Because this kind of a decision has a big impact on the individual and the society, right, as a whole, okay? So this first part is my hook, and for the IELTS, you don't need to overthink it. You don't need to, it's not a university level essay where you have to think about 10 different ways to do it to get the best one. Just whatever works, right? So this is the background or the importance of the question here. And then comes the thesis. Okay. And for the thesis, I can just take what I wrote and then stick it in. And in the computer-based exam, if you're doing the computer-based exam, you can just plop it in just like that. Okay. So here is my introductory paragraph. Millions of parents seek employment abroad for a chance at a better life for their families. Clearly, such a major decision has a great impact on both the individual and society as a whole. And even Microsoft Word is saying you don't need that as a whole part. Just finish with both individuals and society. Simplify it. Even Grammarly is saying so. Using Grammarly, using Microsoft Word, they're very good these days. The software is getting smarter and smarter, using more and more AI. And they give a lot of suggestions to make your language more concise. Here, I think it's giving me some suggestions here. So I definitely believe it's just saying more concise language would be clearer for your readers. So just write, I believe. Now, I like the definitely. It's strengthening, so I'll keep that one. But yeah, a lot of suggestions by Microsoft Office and by Grammarly these days are around concise language. So use those free software to help your writing. Okay. All right. So now the body paragraphs. Let's get to it. Okay. Let's see what you have. Okay, Kennel, just looking at some of the writing here in the chat. Kennel writes, foreign countries are the first priority of parents for getting a job because of higher living standards and opportunity. Kennel, that sounds like an opinion, and it sounds a little bit confusing. Keep your hook simpler, okay? Sunantha writes, many parents are working abroad for better opportunity of their life. Sunantha, not bad, but just simplify it. Many parents are working abroad for better opportunities. Okay, instead of their life, many parents are working abroad for better opportunities. Baljit writes, parents work to support their families. It's not specific enough, Baljit, so use the exact topic. You generalize the topic to just working parents instead of parents working abroad, right? So use the specific topic, Baljit. Not just parents working, but parents working abroad, okay? So students, when you write your hook, you need to include this part as well. It's very important, okay? So don't take the specific idea of the question and then make it general, like parents working, okay? That's not a good idea. Okay, Romelia, don't use all capital letters. It's harder for me to look at and interpret, so write it with small letters, okay? All right, so here we go. Body paragraph 1 has a topic sentence, has an explanation, has an example, and has a connecting sentence. Again, these are just standards of essay writing. It's not Adrian's telling you to do this, or the YouTube channel Academic English Help is telling you to do this. It's English literature is telling you to do this. I think we had an English lit student in yesterday's class, and they would probably say, oh, yeah. That's what I learned in my class. When you're learning English literature, they'll teach you the same steps for essay writing. Okay, so body 1 here is benefits for the individual. Okay. So, notice that all I'm going to do here, I'm going to use an interesting strategy here, and I'm going to explain it. Okay. So here I'm saying, although parents may experience some negatives of going abroad for work, like homesickness, overall, they benefit from having higher salaries and more safety. I'm going to change to better education. So always thinking as a writer. Okay, so here, students, specifically for the IELTS exam, okay, again, we're dealing with this question, okay, the original question is, do you think the advantages of this development outweigh its disadvantages? So with this type of question, does one outweigh the other? Is one more than the other? The best way to write this essay is to focus on the side that you believe to be true. So in this case, I'm saying that there are more benefits, so more advantages. So I don't focus on the negatives so much. I just focus on the positives, okay? So here, I start with the negative. Notice this. Although parents may experience some negatives of going abroad for work, like homesickness, and I mention one here, okay, the like homesickness, but I don't go into a lot of detail. I just mention that negative, and then immediately I jump to the positives. Overall, they benefit from having higher salaries and better education. And this is that part one of the individual, so benefits for the individual. Okay. Does that strategy make sense? Is everybody clear on that one? Okay, maybe some thumbs up there. This is definitely the second time that I would love to see some thumbs up in the class. So notice this strategy when it's like, do the benefits outweigh the negatives, or do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? I mention the disadvantages for my reader very quickly, but then I turn their minds towards the advantages. Okay, Anir Ban Baljit Sarah Patek, I'll say, okay, got that, right? So overall, they benefit from higher salaries and better education. So that's my topic sentence, okay? Okay, now I need to explain that. And I'm not even going to explain homesickness. Homesickness is self-explanatory. Most people will understand that. But having higher salaries, better education, then that is, you know, the piece that I want to explain, especially since that's the side that I'm supporting. Okay, so okay, so again, here is my explanation, all right? Often parents are moving from developing nations to developed countries, such as the USA or the UK, where their professional efforts receive 5 times or more the monetary compensation. Yeah, we don't need the monetary compensation than in their country of origin. Okay, so monetary compensation means money that you're getting, salaries. If you don't know monetary compensation, doesn't matter. You can still get a great band score. You can use the word salaries. Okay, 5 times or more salaries or earnings or money. Okay, then in their countries of origin, and then here. I can use the content that I came up with in my planning, right? So here, when I wrote a nurse in Indonesia, right, I can literally take that and I can plop it in at the end for my example. Okay. So a nurse in Indonesia makes $300 US per month, but makes $5,000 US per month in Canada. This higher salary not only provides the family with a better quality of life, but also better education for children. Okay. They can use, parents can save this money to support university tuition for their offspring. This is clearly a great benefit of moving abroad for work. Okay, and that's my connective sentence. Okay, so here is my first body paragraph. Let me just read it. You should always review your paragraphs after you finish writing them, okay, students? So when you finish a paragraph, this is an important tip as well, when you finish a paragraph in your IELTS, make sure to review it right away, okay? All right, so review it for spelling mistakes, information mistakes. So although parents may experience some negatives of going abroad for work, like homesickness, overall they benefit from having higher salaries and better education. Often parents moving from developing nations to developed countries such as the USA or the UK, where their professional efforts receive 5 times or more monetary compensation in their country of origin. A nurse in Indonesia makes $300 in the US per month. A nurse in Indonesia makes $300 per month. But in the US, something got messed up there. So a nurse in Indonesia makes $300 per month. But makes 5,000 US per month in Canada. This higher salary not only provides the family with a better quality of life, but also better education for their children. Parents can save this money to support university tuition for their offspring. This is clearly benefits. I'm not going to say because it's multiple. This is clearly benefits of moving abroad for work. Okay. So made some important corrections, and now I can move on to body paragraph 2. Okay. So let's see what you have. Chayani says, even though some parents showed the drawbacks like culture shock, higher salaries and environmental safety are benefits. Chayani, okay, a little bit simpler, clear, but you're on the right track. It's looking a bit better than your earlier writing. Romelia says the main issue that can occur at a social scale is the brain drain. Romelia, too complicated for the IELTS exam, okay? Simplify your concepts. Your goal is to clearly and concisely communicate, okay? And I wouldn't say the main issue, because you're saying that, the benefits are more. So I would say a disadvantage or a negative that occurs. And I'm not sure what you mean by social scale. So I think you're meaning like for the individual, it's fatigue. They become exhausted doing hard work. I'm not sure. So you're going to have to explain that. Try to be as clear as possible, Romelia. However, the benefit from cultural mixture between people in different backgrounds is obvious. instead of saying that, Romelia, just state what is obvious. So what is obvious? Okay. Yeah, Anirban in Canada, a nurse can make $5,000 US per month. They can make up to 70,000 Canadian per year. We don't live like kings, but we live a pretty good life for sure. Sanantha writes, even working in overseas affects the family to try adaptation and go out of comfort zone. Clarity, Sanantha, clarity. Okay. All right, students, so what do I have left? I have to write my body paragraph 2 and my conclusion. So body 2 and then my conclusion. Okay. Body 2 will be the same as body 1. It will have a topic sentence, explanation, and example. Okay. And this is benefits for society. What are the benefits for society? So just the topic sentence here. So furthermore, or in addition, parents pursuing careers in other countries benefits that nation's workforce and economy, while encouraging their home country to provide better employment terms for the profession. Okay, so here is my topic sentence, and this is just kind of to get you going for body paragraph 2. So the benefits of parents working in other countries, obviously, is that the country where they go to suddenly now has more nurses. They need more nurses. They have more nurses, right? So that country benefits. Also, the country where they moved from, hopefully, if they're losing a lot of their workforce, then they start to think about, hey, maybe we should pay a little bit more money to nurses, and hopefully that way we don't lose as many of them, right? Whether that happens or not, that's a different question, but certainly it's motivation, right? Also, when those families make more money and their kids become educated and they go to university, then we increase the overall education of the population. Now, that is probably a point that I would save for a university essay, not for the IELTS. It's not necessary to go into that much detail, but it gives you an idea. Okay, so in addition, parents pursuing careers in other countries benefit that nation's workforce and economy while encouraging their home country to provide better employment terms for the profession. I said employment terms because it could be salary, it could be job security, benefits like dental, medical, but you can decide where you go from that, okay? Does everybody understand this topic sentence for body paragraph 2 about the benefits for society? Okay. Anirban says, people working abroad send foreign countries, thus boosting foreign reserves. Yeah, that's a good point too, Anirban. So a lot of families that work abroad help to support their families back home by sending money. Yeah, that's true. So it helps the local economy in that way as well. Now, I can make this topic sentence a little bit better. How can I do that? How can I make this topic sentence a little bit better? So I've got a couple of points here, and that's good. But I can make it a little bit better. How can I make it a little bit better? Hint, hint. Think about what I did in the first body paragraph, students. So how can I make this a tiny bit better? Just a tiny touch. for the examiner for this question, so that the examiner is like, oh, that's great, look at what the student did, they're consistent, they stick to the same kind of strategy. Okay, I see some thumbs up there, which is good. That means you're on the same page as me. What can I do to make this body paragraph a tiny touch better, a little tiddly bit better? Yeah, Sarah says you gave a comparison. Absolutely. Yeah, very good. Carolina says example. Well, I'm not there yet, Carolina. And I can use the same example here in this body paragraph to make it awesome. And Kendall says, yeah, first the negative, then the positive. So even though countries are losing professionals, when parents move abroad for work, okay, so writing it like this, it's a little bit better for this type of question. So even though countries, or we can say nations, so I'm not repeating the word countries, even though nations are losing professionals when parents move abroad for work, they benefit those foreign countries' workforce and economy while encouraging their home country to provide better employment terms in their profession. Or I can say in their field. Okay, so now I have a good topic sentence. Okay, and you want to include your explanation now, and then you want to include your example. For the example, follow with the same example. Okay, so use the same example as in body 1, or I shouldn't say use the same, I'll say adapt or adopt. The same example, okay? And then write the rest of it. So that's your homework, everybody. Finish body paragraph 2. And conclusion. Okay, do that for homework, and then send me your whole essay to my email address, and we can give you a band score estimate. My email address is this here. Okay, so send it there, members. I would love to see how you finish your body paragraph 2 and your conclusion to this essay. I've given you the guidelines, I've given you the ideas, so all you have to do now is some nice composition. Okay, all right, so that's what you want to do. And for those of you watching, definitely it's a good idea to become a member of our YouTube channel. Click the join button next to the subscribe button. We had one new member join in the class. I saw that. That was great. And visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. These are the textbooks for our live classes. In fact, in the next class in 30 minutes, we will have a listening class, listening part 1 and part 2, and we will use the website for the listening exam. We will use the practice exams. We will use the audio from the website. So definitely go to the website and click these red buttons there. That's just above my head. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. Really doesn't cost a lot of money. Helps us to help you. We are an IDP affiliate, British Council partner, test registration center. I'm a British Council agent. This is our general IELTS website here. You're in great hands with us. So register, start using the websites, start learning good English, start learning good communication. Carolina, thank you for moderating. Members, thank you for your support and thank you for your participation. I hope I see all of you in 30 minutes for listening part 1, part 2 practice. Keep keep up the good work. Practice lots of writing. Writing is a joy, especially when you do it well and when you know what you're doing. So, so do it. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, Canada for now, but I'm back in half an hour with listening for IELTS Part 1, Part 2. See you soon, everybody. Bye for now.